Guys, I'm actually happy that I'm wrong. I really am. I enjoy being wrong. I enjoy coming in this with low expectations like I did on my predictions video. But guys, this was great. This really was a really good pay-per-view. Starting off with a bang with the opener. Who would have ever thought that they actually did have the John Cena Open Challenge for the U.S. title first? I actually thought they were going to have it in the middle of the show, but they actually had that first. And who would ever thought that we would ever see Zeb Coulter ever again? He's been gone for a while. And I actually thought it was going to be Jack Swagger that came out. Of course, with Zeb Coulter having an anti-immigration gimmick and pretty much having the most racist gimmick on the entire brand, I actually thought it was going to be Jack Swagger coming out. But I was wrong. Someone completely unexpected. Someone we never thought we would ever see the light of day in the WWE again. I guess that would probably make sense. But either or, we never thought we would ever see this guy again because we thought there would be bad blood between the company and this person. And I am talking about Alberto Del Rio. Who would have ever thought that Alberto Del Rio would team up with an ex-racist? Seriously. And maybe it's kind of a poke at Donald Trump. It could be. I have no idea. I mean, he did have a racist gimmick, and he is Mexican, so I don't know. Maybe it is a poke at Donald Trump. But despite all that, I will say this. I enjoyed that match. I never thought I would actually see him wrestle again, and he actually is really good. For those that actually watch Lucha Underground, we know how aggressive Alberto El Patron is. But he's no longer Alberto El Patron. He's actually back to being Alberto Del Rio. But seeing him actually wrestle against Cena, and you know how aggressive this dude is, he was literally kind of holding himself back, which kind of sucked. But you kind of expect that because it's the freaking PG era and it's against John Cena. But either or, it was a decent match. And we kind of expected him to actually take the U.S. title. But it was a great way to do it. I got no beef with it at all. I actually enjoyed myself for the opener of this show. And honestly, it was off a good start. But now, moving on to the next match. We end up having the Divas. Oh, the Divas probably was the next match. Can't remember. By the way, we have the Divas. We have Charlotte versus Nikki Bella for the Divas title. And this was just them one-on-one. Nobody outside. No interference. None of that. And that was really, really cool. And I actually did think that that was going to be good because it actually showcased the talents of Nikki Bella and how far she came, as well as Charlotte going against Nikki Bella, who happens to be a vet. Or a vet in the WWE. So it really would be nice to actually see them perform, and man, did they not disappoint. The fact that we actually did see a lot of aggression coming out of Nikki as a heel shows me that she needs to be a heel more. She doesn't need to ever be a babyface ever again. Because this chick really knows how to fight when she's mean. So she needs to be mean more often. And as for Charlotte, she was a fighting champion. Of course, she's going against a freaking, well, I'm not going to say legend, but she's going against a vet who happens to be the ex-WWE Divas Women's Champion. You know what I mean. The butterfly belt chick. But either or, she actually has the longest title reign ever at this point. So going up against her was absolutely amazing. And I actually liked seeing the aggression coming out of Nikki as well as Charlotte. And Charlotte was playing the injury to a certain extent. And then somehow she forgot she had a back injury. And then she ended up having a back injury again. And then you end up seeing Nikki Bella, who ended up tweaking her knee. And she played her injury out pretty well. But the one big spot that I'm not sure is a botch, but could be a botch. It looked like it was a botch. But the fact that Charlotte actually did a backflip off of Nikki Bella when she tried to do a powerbomb off the top rope. And then she did a backflip, landing on her feet, but Nikki Bella kind of landed on her neck. So hopefully, I'm hoping she's okay. But it looked like it was a major botch. It could have been a great spot, but it just wasn't executed well. But either or, this match was aggressive. These women gave it their all. And honestly, nobody booed them. Everybody really did enjoy it. They were cheering for Nikki. They were cheering for Charlotte. It was a great performance. And you usually don't see that in Divas matches on pay-per-views these days. It's usually a mixed bag. But honestly, they really did appreciate these Divas. And I love seeing that. And I respect that highly. So it was really great. Charlotte retains, of course. And I'm kind of happy that they did because like I heard on Mr. Griffin's channel on one of his videos that there was a possibility or a rumor saying that they're trying to have Nikki Bella go up against go up against Sasha Banks. But now it looks like that Sasha Banks is going to probably feud with Charlotte. Well, I'm hoping that'll be the case. I have no idea. That's just my predictions. But anyway, let's move on to the next match. Now, we got 2 championship matches off the plate right now. So let's move on to the tag team match. Now, the only thing that was boring about this tag team match was the fact that there was absolutely no Xavier Woods. I guess he got hurt somehow. I don't watch SmackDown. I don't care. But I do know that he wasn't there, and his trombone was there in spirit. But the strange thing is they were actually treating Xavier Woods like he died. Like, it was just odd. I don't really know why that Kofi Kingston and Big E was treating the whole situation like Xavier Woods died when he didn't. I mean, they may not would try. I guess they weren't trying to make it sound like that, but they were, and it was weird. And they actually had his trombone in spirit when they should have just left the trombone alone and just had a match. That's just me. But Xavier Woods, I'm not Xavier Woods, but Big E and this little jig that he does was kind of disturbing, and it's continuously disturbing, and I really wish they stopped doing it because he's flying off something he shouldn't be flaunting. But despite all that, ew. But anyway, this match I really had low expectations for, and there's a reason why. We have seen them win cleanly against the New Day. Not the Dudley Boys, but the New Day. The New Day has beaten the Dudley Boys on primetime television, not once, but twice, cleanly. So why in the world would I even freaking care if they're going to have a match at all? Because we know that they're going to win. It's a given. They're going to win. And what did they do? They won for the third time clean, without any interference from Xavier Woods, which has to be insult to injury. Why the heck did you even bring back the Dudley Boys in the first freaking place if they're just going to look bad night after night? And I guess everybody says, oh, well, they're legends. Their whole job for a legend is to put everybody over. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, that's true. But at least make them look good. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. They looked like freaking novices in the ring every single night. There's a way to put over the New Day, and there's a way to make the legends look bad. And the legends look bad every single night. It's just they shouldn't ever have this feud again. This feud needs to die. And I'm hoping this feud is dead after tonight, because that's just embarrassing if they go after him again. I'm hoping they're done after this. I really hope that they are. But let's move on to another match. Now, we got 3 championship matches off of our belt. We have 4 and 2 standalones. So, the kickoff match themselves, I guess I can't forget about the kickoff match. And I kind of can, because it was just way too predictable. I could care less about that kickoff match because it was so freaking random. It was supposed to be the Wyatt family. It's supposed to be the 2 members of the Wyatt family with Luke Harper and Braun Strowman versus Randy Orton and Dean Ambrose. That's supposed to be the kickoff match. But somehow Randy Orton ended up getting a busted shoulder or injured or something, and instead of making a handicap match and make it interesting, they decided to 86 the whole thing and put a freaking random 6-man tag in there that nobody cared about. That's the only gripe. Actually, I have 2 gripes of this entire pay-per-view, and that's one of them. They should have made it interesting by having Dean Ambrose there, and having Dean Ambrose actually go up against the Wyatt family, because that's something Dean Ambrose would do. Dean Ambrose is a lunatic fringe. He is off his rocker. He is crazy. This is something he would do. So why wouldn't you actually have that done? Even if he had his butt handed to him, at least have him do it. It would make sense. But unfortunately, that made too much sense. And it was so scary without Randy Orton, they decided to do a random 6-man tag that nobody cared about. Anyway, I am done ranting with that. But anyhow, let's move on to another championship match of the night. Let's move on to the IC match. The most disappointing match of the night. Well, actually not disappointing in the fact that it's just mediocre and meh. And it actually should be a little bit more than that, but it's not its fault. It's the way it was booked. And I think I said we talked about 3, and yeah, we did talk about 3 so far. But anyway, it's not really so much the fact that the IC match was just boring in itself. It was the fact of how it was booked, how it was set up. How it was set up on the card mostly. Not so much of booking, but how it was set up on the card. And the card set up for that match was bad. It shouldn't have been after the WWE Heavyweight title. It should have been before it. And that's why nobody cared, because everybody was exhausted after seeing Kane versus Seth Rollins, that nobody really cared about the IC match. And not to mention that we've actually seen these guys wrestle before, so in a way we really didn't care either, because we knew that they were both good. They were both they both can perform, except I have some questions about Ryback at times. But despite all that, I really just didn't care, because I know these guys actually do have a good match. And honestly, I feel like the feud was actually pretty random, or if they had a feud at all, and I don't think they did. But unfortunately, it was just subpar, and it should have been better than that. It's a freaking IC title. It really is. And it seemed like the IC title was the lowest belt the lowest cared for belt in the entire card. Because you had a great US match, you had a great Divas match, you had a great you had a subpar, somewhat okay tag team title match. So you had two subpar matches with two titles that should be prestigious. But despite all that, it was just the way it was set up, and also you really didn't care much for the performers. Even though I love Kevin Owens, we know Kevin Owens is good. And Ryback is okay, but we know Ryback is strong too. So we know they were going to put on a great match, but you were so emotionally invested in the match before it that you didn't necessarily care, and that has happened at WrestleMania before with the streak. So honestly, that was just a bad card setup. But let's go on to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match with Kane versus Seth Rollins, and if Kane loses, that means that Corporate Kane loses his job. Okay, can we say this has already been done? Well, technically it has. Well, yeah, you've had the career-ending matches, and we've had a few of them. But I will say that this was something that was already predicted. We kind of knew that Kane wasn't going to be coming back. Come on, we knew he wasn't going to be champion either. There's no way they're going to put another belt back on Kane, especially that he just decided to put his mask back on. He became neutered when he actually decided to become Corporate Kane, and people don't care much about him anymore. They don't. And it's a given that when you actually make a career-ending match, we know that person is leaving. It's just foreshadowing, people. It's just straight up foreshadowing. We know that he's not coming back. Glenn Jacobs might be retiring this year. So now he's officially done. He's officially gone. It was a great match. I'm not going to lie. Very aggressive at the start. When you actually did see Kane pretty much come out of nowhere, extremely aggressive towards Seth Rollins. And I'm going to be honest. Seth Rollins didn't look like he had a shot in the dark of winning. But he actually did pull some stuff out of his butt, and somehow he actually did win. And now we have no more Corporate Kane. No more Corporate Kane. No more Kane, or whatever he is now. He's done. And that was actually a given. So I guess maybe he's retiring this year. But anyway, let's move on from there. Now, I probably did miss out miss a match or two, and if I did, by all means leave it in the comments. But let's talk about the main event. The main event, actually I did. There's a match that actually did pop in my head right now. Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. And there's probably a reason why I wanted to forget it. Because of how it ended. Now, it was a great match. Very aggressive. I love seeing the sadistic side of Bray Wyatt. We need to see that more. And in the Hell in a Cell match, that's his element. That's where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be his craziest in that match. And he was. He brought out the sadistic, psychotic side of him. And I enjoyed that. Because that's his character. And he should do that more with a babyface. And make the babyface want to crap himself. But even though it's Roman Reigns, actually Roman Reigns was a lot more sadistic and a little bit more aggressive than Bray Wyatt was. But Bray Wyatt kind of brought it when he needed to bring it. And it was like going back and forth. And I enjoy it. With the kendo sticks poking out at each other. Oh my gosh. That was something I never thought I would ever see. But I see that with Bray Wyatt doing it. But seeing how the Roman Reigns kind of capitalized on it, awesome. And seeing how Roman Reigns actually did enjoy the pain that Bray Wyatt was feeling was something you really wouldn't see a babyface be. But in a way, you're dealing with a psychotic heel. So in a way, you can't really necessarily beat a psychotic heel. Because a psychotic heel enjoys seeing, not only being in pain, but he enjoys playing in your head. So honestly, this was a great played out match. In a psychological sense, very well played out. And the storyline played out, I guess I could say, the storyline started off strong, but then ended up in a really weak way. But the way that they actually did perform in the ring was great. I enjoyed myself, but I did not like the ending. Bray Wyatt needed to win more than Roman Reigns. Way more than Roman Reigns. Because you gotta make your heels a little bit more dominant. And Bray Wyatt hasn't had a decent win, at least back-to-back. He hasn't had a back-to-back pay-per-view win in ever. And a pay-per-view win that was legit without any extra help. And maybe there was a few times that he had, but he needed that win over Roman Reigns. But now that, because of the ending of the show. But now that Roman Reigns won, the ending of the show is like, why? You're more questioning yourself than anything else of why this is actually happening because you just lost. But anyway, let's not talk about the ending just yet. Because I think, let's talk about the ending now. Because I think I actually did cap off everything. And if I didn't, leave it in the comments. But let's talk about the main event. The main event was one of the most brutal, bloodiest, awesomeness I have ever seen in a Hell in a Cell match in a freaking while. I never thought that I would ever see that much blood during the PG era, like ever. But honestly, guys, I enjoyed every freaking bit of it. The Beast was on, Taker was on, it was on. And I enjoyed every last ounce of it. Lesnar was at the top of his game. He was pretty much at his prime. Taker was at his prime, but then he started to wither out really quick. I knew deep down that he was not going to be able to beat him, seeing how desperate he was to win at SummerSlam. They played this whole thing out to the hilt. They knew that this was going to be the main event, and they made it so. Man, not only did they use the actual ring, which is what Hell in a Cell is for. You use the ring as a weapon. That's what they did. And not to mention, they tore the ring apart to tear each other apart, ripped up stairs. They did. Besides the doctor being an idiot coming in the ring, that didn't really ruin the moment. It was still brutal because you had Lesnar take him out. It was brutal all the way down to the very finish. And honestly, guys, you can either be pissed off or happy that Lesnar did win. But me personally, I am happy. I want to see this whole thing with Taker done. I don't want the streak to come back. I don't want the Undertaker to make his comeback because that poor man cannot go through anymore. You can tell it's wreaking havoc on his body. And the fact that he keeps doing this over and over and over again, I don't want him to be another victim. I don't. And I really want this to end, and I am hoping that it is going to end, and he's going to retire this year. That's the one thing that I actually am hoping, and I hope Vince is watching, and I'm hoping he's taking notes. Seeing how that Taker couldn't even sit up after the match was over. But despite all that, it was a great match, very brutal, very bloody. They picked the right guy to end it, and I'm happy it happened the way it did. And now we talk about the ending. The one thing I never expected was to see Bray Wyatt come out of nowhere with the rest of his family beating the crap out of an already broken Undertaker and then drag him out in the dark. Now, if Bray Wyatt actually won the match prior with Roman Reigns, it will have a little bit more weight to it if he actually dragged out Taker at the end. But since he lost, it makes him look like, it doesn't make him look strong, but it don't make him look, I don't know what it makes him look. But honestly, in my opinion, it don't make him look stronger. It doesn't make him look dominant. It makes him look weak. He's come out there with a whole bunch of his family members. His family members is dragging him off, and he's the one leading the charge. But dude, you just lost your one-on-one match. How can anybody listen to you after that? But then I'm thinking, this is the freaking Wyatt family, a bunch of psychotic crazies. Do you think they're going to have logic? No. So in a way, I guess I can deal with it. I can handle it. As long as they don't screw it up like they screwed up with Daniel Bryan. They screwed that up royally. And I'm hoping they don't mess this up with Taker. But honestly, guys, here are my overall thoughts. I came in this pay-per-view with low expectations, thinking it was going to be a big old crappy pile of garbage of a pay-per-view. But I was completely wrong. I am happy that I'm wrong. I enjoyed myself tonight. Despite the little nitpicks that I have here and there, it was still a great pay-per-view to watch, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment in the comment section below or send me a video response on what your thoughts is about Hell in a Cell. Because honestly, I'm happy that my expectations were low, because if they weren't, I would just leave disappointed. But they did a great job. I am highly impressed with it, and I think it was awesome. They did a great job surprising everybody. But guys, like I said, leave your thoughts in the comments. It's Naturegirl 30 signing off. Peace out, guys. Later.